All right. Hey, how you doing? It's Sean in real life. Um, if you're new to the channel, and I'm sure you are, everybody's going to be new to this channel because I am just starting out. And so welcome, Anyway, I keep hearing these experts, they keep saying, um, hey, instead of trying to figure out like new ideas of things to put different videos together, or things to record, or things for your podcast, or like how to get yourself out there, and trying to just be creative and coming up with these different things, instead of creating, document. And if you're documenting your life, then you're also creating material that you can then post on YouTube. So that's what this video post is all about. It's about me documenting. Now, today, I don't think I'm not documenting a win. I'm not documenting like, something that, I was about to say I'm not documenting something that I am proud of. But I am proud of something. This right here, if you can see it, it's my Clubhouse room. I started this Clubhouse group called Genuine Humans, and the reason for me starting that was because I'm always looking for genuine people to communicate with, genuine people to talk to, and I love the idea of Clubhouse because you're able to have these live conversations with people all over the world instantly. You don't have to have their phone number. You don't have to somehow think about, oh, I need to connect to people. Like other social media sites like Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm thinking, actually, let me say LinkedIn, particularly LinkedIn. It helps if you're a part of someone's network, and then that helps you to get exposed to other people. Clubhouse, the reason why I like Clubhouse right now, and why I wanted to start a group on Clubhouse, is because I love the genuine conversations that I've had on Clubhouse so far. The fact that there are not a whole lot of people that I personally know on Clubhouse, but I can get into a room with a bunch of strangers and see a bunch of interesting people and continue to stretch out in the network that way. So I thought, hey, I want to join in on this. Now, the Genuine Humans group, why did I start that? Um, Again, I like genuine conversations. A lot of times, I think as I'm watching the news, as I'm looking at YouTube, as I'm seeing like different accounts that's happening out there, you know, sometimes some of the things that I see and that I hear about are shocking. Whether you hear about somebody hurting someone else, or someone just really speaking meanly about another person, or about a group of people, and it's really disconcerting. And I'm going to tell you in a moment why I keep looking down at my phone. It's not that I have my notes on the phone, but it's actually like right now I'm monitoring something on Clubhouse. And I'll tell you about that, and that's the very reason for me starting this. But anyway, back to the Genuine Humans group. Again, I just wanted to start a group that would attract a bunch of people that just really care about other people. Place a corner of positivity, in the social media, on the internet. Where people can get together and just hopefully the conversations. Hey, we can talk about tough things, if that need be the case. Personally, I was going to focus on talking about things that I'm interested in, and seeing if I'm attracting other people that's interested in the same thing. So some of those things that I wanted to talk about is IT, product management, gaming, photography, voiceover work, that sort of thing. I know it's a wide gamut and it's all over the place. And as I continue to do these things, I'm probably going to figure out ways to pare it down and make it more simple. But for now, I'm all over the place because I'm experimenting, right? Like my last video, I talked about just start. And that's what this is right here as well. This is another version of me just starting. I've never, this is actually my second room in Clubhouse. The first room in Clubhouse is one that I started instantly on the spot, just to kind of see what happened. I think I attracted one other person that I followed. They followed me. They hopped in the room real quick and then jumped back out. That's the way that experiment went. So this one is another first, actually, even though, again, it's just another room. But this is my first scheduled room. So I guess about maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I scheduled this room. Today's Monday, and it's 12:37 right now on a Monday. And I scheduled this room to say, well, let's see if I get better results with scheduling a room in advance and seeing if I can attract more people in there. So it was my first time doing that. Now, this experiment went exactly pretty much the same way, right? I had another person who I believe I'm following, and they're following me. Wasn't really familiar with their name, but they hopped in my room real quick. I started to speak to them, and then they hopped out. But differently, they hop back in, but then they hop back out again. So I don't know. It's really quiet in my room right now. I'm curious to see. Okay, now to get to what I'm monitoring. I'm in the room right now, so this is why I thought, hey, let me set my camera up and then let me go about actually documenting, right? So that's why I started talking about, hey, a bunch of experts say if you don't have anything to create or if you don't have an idea on the top of your head right now, then just document what's going on in your life. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm just documenting it. So this is my first step, which is, I guess by most accounts would be a failure because I have no one else in my room but myself. So literally, so I'm doing two things exactly the same virtually. Let me go ahead and unmute myself here. Cause it doesn't even matter. There's nobody else in this room with me. Like literally, physically, I got something going on where I'm virtually in a room talking to myself, and I'm still physically in a room talking to myself. But I'm not mad at that. Would I have liked it to go another way? Would it have been exciting and would I have been happy to have like a bunch of people in this room ready to discuss this topic with me? By the way, the topic of this room, at least I entitled it Lunch Break, Business and IT Alignment. Not an exciting title. I got to work on that. So that's another thing that I'm learning about on this journey is how am I going to market myself? How am I going to market these endeavors, these things that I'm trying to do? But it's an experiment for me. I traditionally am an IT guy. I think about IT projects. I'm not into marketing. So if there's anybody out there that can help me with this, hey, contact me. Drop a comment. Let me know. But anyway, this is me documenting it. Something that I didn't talk about in the last video that I do want to talk about while you guys are here is, there are a number of places you can follow me on. I do have Sean IRL on Instagram, and then I also have a website, SeanIRL.com. And on Clubhouse, I'm also Sean IRL. So follow me in those different places. Hopefully I start finding successes as I keep going on and doing this, and I'm able to actually have people jump into the room next time I set one up. Again, the title might have been boring. But what I really wanted to talk about in this Clubhouse, if I had an opportunity to, and I guess I'll just go ahead and talk to you guys right now about that, is that, there are different, in every business, today technology is so important, right? There's not a business out here that's not touched by technology. And so I always thought it kind of interesting in the years that I worked in technology that the executives or the business side, of these companies that I worked in, have seemed to not pay as much attention to the IT teams or the needs of the IT teams or what's going to keep the IT teams fluid, even though their companies and their businesses depend very much on that IT team, right? Like performing like a well-oiled machine. So it was always kind of like a curious thing for me that wasn't the case. So that's what I actually wanted to have a discussion about in this Clubhouse room if it was a success. I wanted to find other like-minded people out here that might have cared and thought about that same topic, to try and discover, like, what are their thoughts on it, right? I know what I've done to try and change that, to try and make things better, right, for the IT team and even better for the executives to form a better understanding between the two sides, right? So that the executives understand, like, hey, the IT guys are on board with your goals. If there's any pushback as far as, hey, we can't do this right now, whether it's a particular assignment, whether it's a part of the roadmap that the executives want to jump to, which the IT team or the IT side of the house isn't ready for, the pushback isn't because of disagreement or not wanting to do what the executive want, but that the IT professionals understand that there's some other things that need to be done first in order to make that endeavor a success. So these were things that I was thinking of. And I've had, like, in the roles that I've had in these companies on the side of the IT side of the house as a PM, working with these teams, working with the executives, being that sort of in-between person, I've had some tools and things that I've done, some ideas about how to bring these sides of the house together, and some that have been like really successful. So I was like eager to share that. I'm eager to share that with you guys. First, I'd like to go down a line, like an anecdotal line, a story, something that happened to me. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details because I don't think it's necessary, but just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So I was working for a company, a nonprofit company, and we work on a lot of internal. The team that I was on actually worked on a lot of the internal software that helps that company function, helps that company exist. Even it's really the data backbone, right, to the purpose of that company for even existing. So this company I was working for years, they've sort of been in this transition mode where they're trying to figure out, there's a bunch of software that was designed before. They wanted to change it. They wanted to improve it. They wanted to modernize it. Okay, and as a way of doing that, they attempted to add more bodies to the IT side of the house, to this team. And what they did was they brought in a bunch of project managers, to work with us. Now, in a way of trying to become organized, I feel like it was my opinion that things became even more disorganized. Because what you had was, there's a way that you can organize the teams. What you had is that they were organized in a projectized way, right? So even though we were all pretty much looking at the same data, there were different parts of the development team that was working with more so the video side of the data a lot heavier. Those were working with the photo side of that data, and there are those that are just working with more so like the, I guess how do you call that? Like the specs, right? The detail, the text, right, of that data. So I was more at that time. I'd been in the company for a long time, so I had my hand in pretty much every single side, of that data. So. And there were a few of us that was like that. So that's a resource that you really can't take over, right? So now you have multiple, and there's a way to manage it. So we have multiple PMs, and my problem is that I had two different PMs that would give me different tasks. All right, but these tasks were not compatible with each other, right? Endless discussions, with these PMs to say, we have to organize this better. I can't be in the middle of building something and get pulled off of it to then build this and go back to that and it just work well when the data structures are intertwined, right? Hopefully I'm explaining that clearly. But anyway, it was just a mess. And so then I wondered, like, well, why aren't we more closely aligned? Why do the managers and the PMs? I mean, they know they would have their own meetings, right? Yeah. So like I was saying, the Clubhouse Room was a failure. As a matter of fact, if anybody hopped in at all during this time, I wasn't like always like staring at it. Hopefully, they got a little value out of it. They'd been getting a little value and entertainment from this. But yeah, the thing that I wanted to talk about in Clubhouse again was just, making sure that the IT teams and the business sides of these companies are just more closely aligned. And in my experience in working in the IT industry, been working in it for many years, is tools. Tools are like my number one strategy for bringing these sides together is using the proper tools. Now, there are a number of tools that I've used. There's a project management tool that I'm talking about now. There's a tool called Workfront. There's a tool called Jira by a company Atlassian. They also have Confluence is another one of their same tools. I look at those tools as working very closely together. And then Microsoft has a tool called Visual Studio Team Services. There's probably a number of other tools out there. You've heard of Trello, you've heard of Airtable. All of these tools I've used to varying degrees. I happen to really like some of the what Atlassian is doing with their tools and what Microsoft is doing with their tools, and how they all work together. Just because when you think about Microsoft, they have a part of their platform where you're able to track the details, right? The exact details of each of the tasks that you're giving to your team, and you can create a window that a lot of people on the outside can look in on that. But now when it comes to even talking about those things, you can use Teams, right? You're clearly able to see the presence of your team no matter where they are in the world. and reach out to them instantly to talk about any of the tasks that's listed within that platform. And then you also can use Microsoft Notes. Is it Notes? Oh man. Anyway, I think it's Microsoft Notes to take notes on any meetings that you may have, to put the documentation there, to tie that into the Visual Studio Team Services, into the project, into the task itself. So this is very closely related. Atlassian, I think, also does a very great job of that. Airtable, there are ways that you could go about using it in a similar way, but then you kind of have to step out of Airtable when it comes to some of those other communication tools. But anyway, the reason why I'm talking about these project management tools is because this is what I use as my number one weapon, my number one tool in that process of bringing both sides of the house together, because data is very important, information is important. What the IT teams want, what the IT managers want, what the developers themselves want, what the executives and all the business side of the house want. They want that data. They want that information. They want to be able to quickly put their finger on the pulse of what's happening and get that sort of status report, that update. Where are we? What's going on, right? And the project management software should be, at least this is how I treat it. I treat it as the center basis for conversation. So any meetings that we have, I can then pull up a task, I can pull up the project, I can pull up a roadmap, I can pull up some sort of document that's showing that sort of information, that's showing where we are, what we're working on, and how that's going. And if you're using these tools properly, for instance, I'll go back to VSTS. If you're using this tool properly, when you're planning, now I'm going to get into a little bit of Agile, but not a lot. This video post isn't about Agile project management, but if you're familiar with Agile project management, you understand that you're planning a sprints. And typically, I've been on teams where, and this seems also to be the industry standard at this point, that depending on for the most part, of course it depends. If you're on like a testing side of the house, the sprints are different. But it typically seems that the sprints are 2 weeks each, right? For these 2 weeks, you're going into your backlog and you're planning what exactly the team is going to be working on. So with that sprint, you can then take that executive, you can then take whatever business person you're talking to, whatever department you happen to be talking to, you can bring them to the inside of the team, right? Those conversations that are happening, right? The task and the issue and the problems, to whatever detail they want. If they want a high level detail, you can go into where you kept your documents and see the planning and see the workflows, and really it's just showing them where are you, what's the team doing. At the same time, they're now able to track and see, hey, we're on this date. Like I said, this is a Monday. Today is Monday. What's happening on Friday? Is this the start of the second week of the sprint, or is it the start of the first week of the sprint? If it's the start of the second week of the sprint, then usually within this week, the tech side of the team would be looking at a deployment towards the end of the week. When is that deployment happening? What's the version number? What things are within that deployment? And the executives can easily and clearly see what is about to come out in this next deployment. So if they need to communicate to the sales team, right, what should they be talking about with their potential clients, their potential customers, then the sales team knows what changes are coming down the line. And this is why I like these project management software, and this is why I think it's one of the best tools that you have, in this journey of trying to bring these two sides of the house together. The great thing about it is, as these executives get used to using that project management software, they no longer have to go to you. They no longer have to find you and say, hey, can you show me what's going on here? Can we have a meeting to talk about this? This is a time saver for everyone. Because as they get used to using that software, they themselves now can just go and find that information for themselves. They can look into it and see where things are going, how things are going, where they're going as well. So this is why I like to use it. But then as you get these executives used to it, as you get their own administration used to it, and depending on the size of your company, these different departments that you work with, as they get used to this software, then they also get used to the fact of being able to put in certain tasks themselves. And this is what I've also allowed and enabled in companies I worked for in the past. giving them a certain level of access so that we don't have to wait for, if we have a weekly meeting planned, we don't have to wait for that weekly meeting to now try and think about what things should we be looking at when it comes to our upcoming sprints. What things do we need to start putting in the backlog? They become a part of the team in that they're putting in their own their own tasks, right? They can if they found a issue with the software, if the sales team maybe went abroad and sorry, my nose is very tickly, right? So that's why you keep seeing me wipe my nose. But anyway, if they went abroad and they spoke to some of the that client base had some really good feedback, they don't have to wait to even come back to the office to start to give you that feedback, because a lot of this software that I'm talking about, not only does it have a presence on your laptop and desktop machines, but they also have apps that exist on your Android or your iPhone. And they can start to put in those that feedback right away, and your team can then see that just about instantly and start to work that into your process. What's going to be in the next sprint? Where is this going to fall? How does it fall in our roadmap? This, to me, is a really big tool in bringing that together. Maybe the way see how things go, but what I might like to also do is in a future video, talk specifically about the applications that I've used as software project management, VSTS, Jira, like I said, with Airtable, and how I use it, how I set these tasks up. I don't know if I want to make this really sort of like technical deep dive on things like that. I like to keep it high level, but if anyone watches this and is really interested in that, then I would invite you please to leave a comment and let me know. Anyway, I think I'm going to bring this one to a close. The room has been open for a while now on Clubhouse. Again, my main reason for getting into this video today was really to talk about just starting, okay? And so I'm continuing to start. And hey, I encourage everyone out there just to continue starting in your own way, whatever that looks like. I'm Sean again. You can find me on Instagram as Sean IRL. There's not a whole lot of activity going on there right now, but hey, I'm just starting, right? So come and watch my growth, please. Find me on Clubhouse at Sean IRL as well. And also, I would implore you to visit my website, SeanIRL.com. And remember, right now we're just at the start, so there are a lot of things going on. I'm continuing to grow, but thank you for coming with me so far along in this journey. See you next time.